Hey guys, and welcome to my second tutorial match for Shadowverse Evolve. I won't be going through the basic rules today because I've already covered them in my previous tutorial match between Elf and Royal. So if you're new and you don't know how the game works, especially how it's different from the digital version, I would suggest watching that video first. Today, we're going to be focusing more on the mechanics of the Witch and the Dragon class decks. 6 and 11, Dragon has the first move. Set leaders. Isabelle for Witch, Rowan for Dragon. Both sides have relatively decent starting hands, so neither side chooses to mulligan. And with that, it's time. Battle Shadowverse! Rowan gains to 1 and ends his turn with no actions. Isabelle gains to 1, draw. For 1 cost, she plays the spell Insight to simply draw a card. She ends her turn. Rowan gains to 2, draw. For 2 cost, he plays the Dragon Rider and ends his turn. Isabelle gains to 2, draw. For 1, she casts Conjure Golem. Put either a guard form or strike form golem in your EX area. For now, Isabelle chooses to be cautious and conjures a guard form golem. With 1 play point to spare, she ends her turn. Rowan gains to 3 and plays Dragon Warrior for 3 cost. Then he attacks a Dragon Rider aiming for Isabelle, but at quick timing, she pays 1 cost to cast Angelic Snipe to deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. Of course, the target chosen is Dragon Rider, which is destroyed. Turn end, Isabelle gains to 3. She ends her turn with no actions. Rowan gains to 4. And for 4 cost, plays a Seabrand Dragon. On Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, gain Storm. Overflow is a state exclusive to the Dragon class that you enter when your max play points is at 7 or higher. So it's still gonna be a while. But of course, the Dragon Warrior attacks Isabelle, but paying 3 costs, she responds with Magic Missile to deal 2 damage to an enemy follower and draw 1 card. Taking 2 damage, Dragon Warrior survives with 1 defense, 1 draw. So the attack still goes through, reducing Isabelle's life to 17. Turn end. She gains to 4, draw. Now, because the number of spells in their grave is very important to the Witch class, I'm just gonna put a small counter here to help you guys keep track of the number of spells inside, currently 4. First, for 2 cost, Isabelle will cast Sorcery Cache. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a spell from among them and add it to your hand, and you may put a spell from among them into your grave. The rest are placed at your deck bottom in any order. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But unfortunately, there is only 1 spell, but Insight is very good, so it is added to the hand. She ends her turn with 2 play points remaining. Rowan gains to 5, stand, and draw. First, he attacks with Dragon Warrior, but paying 2 cost, Isabelle counters with Fire Chain. Choose up to 2 enemy followers and deal a total of 3 damage between them. So out of the 3 damage, 1 is inflicted to Dragon Warrior, the remaining 2 are sent to Seabrand. And this of course kills the Dragon Warrior. But Seabrand is still alive to attack and hits Isabelle for 4, reducing her life to 13. Next, paying 3, Rowan will play the Rock, which can be evolved for 0 cost. So it will now evolve into its evolved version from the evolved deck. Remember that you can only perform evolution once per turn. He ends his turn. Isabelle gains to 5. First, for 1, she plays the Insight she added to her hand to draw a card. And then for 3, she plays the Demon Flame Mage, which can be evolved for 1 cost. And since Isabelle was the player going second, she has access to these evolve points. Once per turn, she can use one of these points to help pay the cost for evolution. So since Demon Flame Mage only requires 1 point to evolve, 1 EP is paid to transform her into her evolved form from the evolved deck, turning her into a 4/4. And when she evolves, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers, Rock is reduced to 1, Seabrand is killed. And for good measure, with her last play point, she casts Angelic Barrage to deal 1 damage to all enemy followers, taking away the last of the Rock's life. Now, since Angelic Barrage is a quick, it can technically be used during the opponent's turn. So wouldn't it have been better for Isabelle to save her last play point and only cast this when Rowan is attacking after playing more minions on his field? Well, the thing is, Rock has this effect. On strike, gain +1/+1. Strike means this effect triggers when this follower attacks. Which means if the Rock was left alive and then it's the first follower to attack during Rowan's next turn, it will instantly become a 2/4 out of range of the Barrage. So it might be a bit better to kill it while Isabelle still can't. When an evolved follower is destroyed, the evolved form is returned to the evolved deck face up so it cannot be used anymore, and then the normal follower is just sent to the grave. With this, Isabelle now has 8 spells in her grave, so she's smoothly charging up her spell chain. With that, she ends her turn. Rowan gains to 6. Just one more turn before he enters Overflow and draw. First, for 4, he plays Glint's Dragon. On Fanfare, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, so the Demon Flame Mage is reduced to 1 life. With the remaining 2 play points he has, Rowan could play the Dragon Rider from his hand, but because its Fanfare only triggers while he's in Overflow and he's already so close, he decides to save it for later. So he simply ends his turn. Isabelle gains 2/6 and draw. Now, 6 play points is where the non-dragon decks start to unleash their full potential. First, for 2 cost, she casts another copy of Sorcery Cache, revealing the top 4 cards of her deck as usual. She dumps Windblast to her grave and adds Fury Embrace to her hand. And with that, her grave is now charged to 10 spells. Get ready! First, for 4 cost, she plays the Lightning Shooter. On Fanfare, choose an enemy follower and deal 2 damage to it. But on Spell Chain 5, deal 4 damage instead. And on Spell Chain 10, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader as well. Spell Chain effects become active if you have at least the specified number of spells in your graveyard. So since Isabelle currently has 10 spells in her grave, she unlocks all of these effects. First, 4 damage is inflicted to the Glint Dragon, killing it, and 2 damage worth of lightning is blasted at Rowan, reducing his life to 18. And now Demon Flame Mage can attack Rowan directly for an additional 4 damage. Down to 14, Isabelle is catching up in the damage race. She ends her turn. But now, Rowan gains to 7 play points, which means from this point onward, he is in Overflow, and his deck too will unleash its true potential. Draw. First, for 3, he casts the spell Dragon Wings. Deal 2 damage to all followers, but if Overflow is active for you, deal 3 damage instead. So both Lightning Shooter and Demon Flame Mage are killed. Next, for 2, he plays Dragon Rider. On Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, put a dragon in your EX area. So Rowan now spawns a dragon token in his reserve. Next, by paying 1 cost, the Dragon Rider can be evolved. Evolution! First, it turns into a 3/3, and then, when evolves, if Overflow is active for you, gain +2 attack, rising to 5. Fortunately, he can't attack this turn, and with that, Rowan ends his turn. Isabella gains 2/7 and draw. First, for 3, she plays Runeblade Summoner. At base, this card is only a 1/1. However, on Fanfare, Spell Chain 5, gain +4/+4, turning her into a 5/5. Not only that, on Spell Chain 10, gain Storm, which means she can now attack this turn even though she was just played. She goes straight for Rowan, inflicting him with 5 damage. And with that, Isabelle has caught up in the damage race. Next, for good measure, she pays 2 cost to play the Guard Form Golem from her EX area. Then, she ends her turn. But at this moment, the Guard Form Golem's Ward ability will come into play. During the end phase, since he has Ward, he can go into Act. And as long as he is in this state, Rowan must target him with his followers' attacks. Turn end, and now Rowan pumps up to 8 and draw. Oh, and it just arrived! It is time, man. It is time. Rowan pays 8 cost. Driven by its lust for gold, the brutal snake dragon will now sink its teeth into this battlefield. Descend, the legendary 8 cost dragon follower, Fafnir. As a 7/8, its stats are too high to be captured by single dice. On Fanfare, it rakes its claws across the battlefield, dealing 5 damage to all enemy followers. In the face of such power, Ward is just meaningless. And then Dragon Rider attacks Isabelle directly, but paying 2 cost, she counters with Fire Chain, dealing it 3 damage to destroy it before the attack connects. Rowan ends his turn, Isabelle gains to 8 and draws with 11 spells in her grave. First, for 4, she casts her mightiest spell, Fury Embrace. Choose an enemy follower and destroy. But on Spell Chain 10, deal 3 damage to the enemy leader as well. So now Fafnir is blown up in flames, and Rowan takes 3, falling to merely 6 life. Next, with 3 cost, she plays another Runeblade Summoner. Becoming a 5/5 and gaining Storm with her spell chains, she goes straight for Rowan, reducing him to only 1 life as Isabelle ends her turn. Gain 2/9 and draw. How will Rowan turn this around? First, paying 4, he plays Glint Dragon. With its Fanfare, Runeblade Summoner is dealt 3 damage. Then for 3 cost, he plays the Dragon Warrior, which can be evolved for 1 cost. So paying an additional 1, the Dragon Warrior will evolve. When evolves, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower. So with that, Runeblade Summoner is killed. So it seems Rowan can take a bit of a breather for now. He ends his turn. Isabelle gains to 9. Draw, first for 2, she plays the Penguin Wizard. With its main phase effect, you can act this card, discard a spell from your hand to draw 1 card. And then, it can be evolved for 1 cost. Evolve! The evolved Penguin Wizard becomes a 2/5, and when evolved, stand, discard, so it is no longer vulnerable to attacks. In fact, it has the same main phase ability as its pre-evolved form, so if Isabelle had another spell in her hand, she could discard it for another draw. And now, paying the rest of her 6 points. Once sealed by the Ancients for its formidable power, the servants of mythic metal will now be unleashed to wreak havoc once more. The legendary witch follower, Mithril Golem, is played. As it hits the field, the earth trembles. On Fanfare, deal 3 damage to all enemy followers, but on Spell Chain 7, deal 5 damage instead, and on Spell Chain 15, deal 5 damage to all enemy leaders. Unfortunately, Isabelle is still 2 spells away from unlocking its final ability, but still, 5 damage to all enemy followers is more than enough, because with that, both the Glint Dragon and Dragon Warrior are annihilated. Who will ultimately emerge victorious at the end of this constant back and forth? Isabelle ends her turn, Rowan gains to the max play points of 10, and draws. His hand isn't looking very good. For 2 cost, he casts Dragon's Oracle, a spell he wished he had at the beginning of the game. Choose one of the following, gain an empty play points orb, which means that you increase your max play points by 1, completely meaningless right now, or draw a card. Of course, the choice is obvious. For 2 cost, he plays the Dragon Guard. As a 4/5 with Ward, he is a rather powerful defensive unit, and on Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, gain +2/+2. So it is now a 6/7, even the Mithril Golem won't be able to bust through him alone. And then for another 4 cost, the Dragon token in the EX area emerges. Entrusting his life to the Dragon Guard, Rowan ends his turn, and with Ward, the Dragon Guard goes into act. Isabelle gains up to 10. And draw. First, for 1 cost, she plays Sammy, the Wizard Apprentice. On Fanfare, look at the top card of your deck and you may put it into your graveyard. So Isabelle will now check top deck. It's a magic missile. She chooses to leave it there. And then, for 2 cost, Sammy can be evolved. Evolution. She becomes a 3/2. And when she evolves, all players draw a card. Oof! The second Fafnir was there! First, Isabelle commands her Mithril Golem to attack the Dragon Guard. Taking 5 damage, the Dragon Guard is reduced to 2 life. And taking 6 damage, the Mithril Golem is reduced to pieces. But now, for 3 cost, Isabelle can cast Magic Missile from her hand to once again deal 2 damage to an enemy follower and draw a card. Of course, the 2 damage is sent flying to Dragon Guard, which only has 2 life remaining. So with this, the ward dissolves. And since Penguin Wizard was played the previous turn, it can attack, aiming for Rowan directly. Although it only has 2 attack, that is more than enough to finish off Rowan's remaining 1 life. So the battle is over, and the winner is Isabelle of the Witch class. But those of you who are my regular viewers would know by now that I quite like to see what would happen if a match continues. So fine, officially the Witch deck wins, but let's see what would happen if Rowan somehow survives the attack with sheer force of will. Well, Isabelle still has play points to spare, so let's say she pays 3 to summon the Demon Flame Mage and ends her turn. Recovery and draw. But of course, Rowan is just going to immediately pay 8 to summon another copy of Fafnir. On Fanfare, he deals 5 damage to all of Isabelle's followers, essentially annihilating her field. Then the Dragon token can attack Isabella for 5 damage. And for 2 cost, he casts another copy of Dragon's Oracle for another draw. Turn end, recover, and draw. First for 3 cost, Isabelle casts Magic Missile to inflict 2 damage to the Dragon token and draw 1 card. Then she pays 1, casting Insight for another draw. Although she's finally managed to accumulate 16 spells in her graveyard, her hand is a bit bricky. Paying 6 cost, she summons 2 of her Healing Angels. On Fanfare, add +1 to your leader's defense, so since there are 2, Isabelle recovers 2 life up to 10. And then, since Healing Angel can evolve for 1 cost and Isabelle was the player going second, she now finally uses her second evolve point to evolve one of her Healing Angels into a 3/5. When evolve, add +2 to your leader's defense, so Isabelle goes up to 12 life. And then, since evolve followers can attack enemy followers the turn they are played, the evolved Healing Angel attacks the dragon token. A 3/5 against a 5/3, both are killed in the crossfire. With that, Isabelle ends her turn, recovery, and draw. First, of course, Fafnir will attack Isabelle directly for 7 damage, reducing her to 5. Then for 7 cost, Rowan will play the Dread Dragon. A mighty 7/7 on Fanfare, choose an enemy follower and deal 7 damage to it. The Healing Angel doesn't stand a chance. Finally, for good measure, Rowan plays the Dragonute Princess for 2 cost. On Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, choose an enemy follower and deal 4 damage to it, but there are no targets. He ends his turn. Recovery, draw, but with just a Penguin Wizard, Isabelle will not be able to turn the tables. Let's just see what her next draw would have been. Another Mithril Golem! That would have ended the game right there! Okay, so Isabelle can only play the Penguin Wizard and maybe just pay 1 cost to evolve it so it becomes a 2/5 and has a better chance of surviving till the next turn. Turn end. Recovery, active, and draw. But at this moment, Rowan has a total of 16 damage potential on his field, so if he goes with an all-out attack, Isabelle will be completely obliterated. So both the Witch and Dragon class decks seem to require time to set up and only unleash their true power in the mid to late game. It's just that today, the Witch deck happened to be just 1 step faster. And honestly, I think the MVP of the day was this Runeblade Summoner. I mean, like, seriously, for 3 cost, dropping at 5/5 with Storm, that is kinda nuts. But anyways, thank you guys for indulging me. Hope you guys enjoyed today's match video. Next up, we will open the final 2 starter decks for the Nightmare and Bishop classes, and then have 1 final tutorial match between them. So look forward to it, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial match.